Men over 60, listen carefully. If you wake up in the morning and your manhood feels lifeless, if that natural strength you once counted on is gone, it is not because you are old. The real shock is this: your body is not broken. Your erections did not vanish forever. They have only gone quiet, and with the right touch they can be awakened again. I am Dr. Mohit Kara, a urologist who has spent more than 30 years helping men restore vitality, intimacy, and confidence. I have seen thousands of men in their 60s and 70s regain what they thought was lost, not with risky drugs or surgery, but with their own hands, their own breath, and a few simple minutes each day. Here is the paradox. Most men believe age steals their erections permanently, yet science and experience prove otherwise. Deep inside, your nerves, your blood vessels, and your manhood are still capable. The secret is not a pill, not a pump, but 3 overlooked points on your body that act like hidden switches. Press them correctly, and your mornings change. That is my promise to you today. By learning these 3 pressure points and combining them with simple daily habits, you can restore blood flow, sensation, and natural morning erections again, without embarrassment, without dependence, and without fear. And stay with me, because in just a moment I will reveal each of these points in detail, show you how to find them, and explain the habits that make them work for life. Before we get started, take a moment to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another powerful tip for men over 60. And if this message speaks to you, type 1 in the comments to let me know you're with me. If it doesn't, type 0 so I can keep improving these lessons for you. Now let's begin with the first and most important truth. Erections do not disappear simply because you are older. What really happens is that your body's natural pathways for blood and nerve signals grow quiet. And once you understand this, everything else starts to change. 1. The truth about aging and erections. Let me tell you something I wish every man over 60 could hear from his doctor. The loss of morning erections is not a sign that you are broken, damaged, or beyond repair. It is not proof that your manhood has abandoned you. What's really happening is far simpler and far more hopeful. Your body still remembers how to rise in the morning. Your nerves are still alive. Your blood vessels are still capable. Your manhood is still there, waiting. But over the years, the signals have grown quieter. The switches that once flicked on so easily are now resting, and the pathways that carried blood and energy have gone unused. I have spoken to countless men in my clinic who lower their voices when they ask me, "Doc, is something wrong with me? I used to wake up strong every day, but now I feel nothing." And I look them straight in the eye and say, "Nothing is wrong with you. Your body just needs to be reminded of what it already knows." You see, aging is not the same as losing. Aging does not erase your ability. It only makes it easier to forget the signals that once came naturally. Think of it like a room in your home that you stopped visiting. The power is still there, the lights still work, but because the switch hasn't been flipped in years, the room stays dark. That doesn't mean the electricity is gone. It means the connection hasn't been made. Erections work the same way. The current is still in your body. You just haven't flipped the switch in a long time. I remember a man named Harold, 74 years old, who came to me with tears in his eyes. He said, "Doc, I don't care about sex anymore. I just want to wake up one morning and feel alive again." That sentence struck me deeply because it revealed what so many men truly crave. Not just an erection, but the sense of life, dignity, and confidence that comes with it. Within a few weeks of practicing what I am about to show you, Harold called me and said, "I woke up this morning, and for the first time in 10 years, I felt like myself again." That is the truth about aging and erections. They don't disappear because you are too old. They fade because you stopped sending the signals, because no one ever taught you how to keep those pathways alive. But the hope, the powerful, undeniable hope, is that those pathways can be reawakened. They are waiting right now inside of you, ready to respond the moment you give them the attention they deserve. And this is where things get exciting, because there are 3 hidden points on your body that act like switches. When you press them in the right way, with the right breath and intention, they flip the circuits back on. Blood begins to flow, sensitivity returns, and your body remembers what it once did with ease. So let me show you the very first of these points, the one located just above your pubic bone, a place most men never think to touch, but once they do, everything starts to change. 2. The first point, above the pubic bone. The first point I want to share with you lies just above your pubic bone, that small stretch of your lower abdomen where the belly meets the pelvis. Most men go their entire lives never paying this area any real attention. They see it as nothing more than skin and bone, but in truth, it is one of the most important command centers of male vitality. When I press here gently with a patient, I often see his eyes widen because something stirs that he thought was long gone. It is subtle at first, like a quiet hum of energy, but that hum can grow into warmth, circulation, and eventually a natural response that no pill could ever replicate. I remember a man named Walter, 67 years old, who walked into my office looking defeated. He told me, "Doc, I think I've lost it. I haven't woken up strong in years." I placed his hand on that spot above his pubic bone and guided him to breathe into it slowly, to apply gentle pressure, not force, just presence. Within minutes, he felt a faint rush of warmth. His face changed, his posture straightened, and for the first time in our conversation, he smiled. 2 weeks later, he returned and said, "Every morning I feel something stirring down there again. I thought it was gone, but it's coming back." That's the power of this point. What makes it so effective is not magic, but biology. Beneath this area run key blood vessels and nerves that supply the lower organs. Over time, when we stop engaging them, the signals grow weaker, the vessels tighten, and circulation slows. By stimulating this spot with awareness and breath, you are quite literally reminding your body to send blood and energy back to where it belongs. Think of it as knocking on a door that has been shut for too long. Once you knock, the door opens and the pathways awaken. I often tell my patients not to rush this practice. This is not about pressing hard or trying to force an erection in the moment. It is about re-establishing communication with your own body. Your manhood listens when you treat it with patience and care, and when that communication returns, strength follows naturally. Many men have told me that the simple act of touching this point each day has given them back not just physical response, but also a sense of dignity, of knowing that their body is still alive and capable. Now, as powerful as this first point is, it is only the beginning. Because there is another area, one that men almost never hear about, and yet it may hold the greatest key of all. It lies in a hidden place between your scrotum and your anus, a place most men ignore, but one that can unlock a flood of circulation and sensation when awakened. And when you discover it, you may realize your body still has far more to give than you ever imagined. 3. The second point, the perineum, between anus and scrotum. Now we come to the second point, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that very few men have ever truly paid attention to it. This spot is called the perineum, the soft space that lies between your anus and your scrotum. In Eastern medicine, it has been recognized for thousands of years and is often called CV1. In Western medicine, it is rarely even mentioned, which is a shame because this point holds extraordinary power over a man's circulation and sensitivity. When I first began teaching patients about this area, I remember their surprise. Many men looked at me as though I were joking, wondering why on earth they should focus on a place they had always ignored, but I would guide them gently, ask them to sit on a small rolled towel or a soft cushion, breathe deeply, and simply allow their body to relax into it. What often happened next was nothing short of remarkable. Within minutes, many men felt warmth in their lower body, a faint pulsing sensation, or simply the quiet awareness that something inside them was reawakening. I recall a patient named Thomas, a 71-year-old Marine veteran. He came into my office and told me, "Doc, it's like the lights went out down there. I don't feel anything anymore." I taught him how to sit with gentle pressure on his perineum. No forcing, no pushing, just stillness and breath. Within days, he called me to say, "Something's happening. It's faint, but I feel a pulse again. I feel alive." Weeks later, he shared with me that his mornings were no longer empty. He had warmth, sensation, and even natural strength returning that he thought had vanished forever. Why does this happen? Because the perineum acts like a valve. When it is tight and ignored, blood flow is blocked, nerve signals are interrupted, and the body forgets how to send energy to the penis. When you release that tension by sitting and breathing on this point, the valve opens. Blood trapped for years begins to move freely, nerve pathways reconnect, and slowly, sensation creeps back into a place you may have thought was lost to time. It doesn't happen overnight, but even the smallest flicker of feeling can spark enormous hope. And hope is what transforms everything. Once a man feels even a trace of life returning to his lower body, his mindset changes. He no longer believes he is broken. He begins to carry himself differently, to trust that his body still responds, to realize that aging does not mean giving up on himself. This is why I believe the perineum is so vital. It is the gateway, the hidden switch that most men never discover, yet once activated, it can unlock a cascade of healing. But as powerful as this point is, there is still another that surprises almost every man I've ever shown it to. It's not even on your groin. In fact, it runs along your inner thigh, in a place you've probably never connected to your erections at all. And yet, once you learn to touch it, you may find it holds the final key to restoring your strength and energy in ways you never expected. 4. The third point, inner thigh line, femoral pathway. The third point I want to share with you is perhaps the most overlooked of all. It is not even on your penis or your groin, yet it plays a direct role in whether or not you wake up with morning strength. This point lies along the crease of your inner thigh, right where the thigh meets the lower abdomen. Hidden beneath that soft line are the femoral artery and nerve, two of the main highways that carry blood and signals to your manhood. When these pathways are stiff, blocked, or neglected, your erections lose volume, lose sensitivity, and lose the strength that once came so easily. But when you awaken them, everything changes. Most men see their thighs as nothing more than muscles for walking, standing, or sitting. They rarely think of them as part of their sexual health. I remember one patient, Earl, a 68-year-old truck driver. He had spent decades sitting behind the wheel, and by the time he reached me, he felt disconnected from his lower body. "Doc," he said, "I figured my thighs were just for hauling me around. I never thought they had anything to do with what happens in the bedroom." I showed him how to trace his fingertips along the inner crease, pausing at tender or tight spots, and to breathe slowly as he applied gentle pressure. At first, Earl was skeptical. He said it felt strange, even pointless. But within a week, he noticed something unexpected. "Doc," he told me with a grin, "I feel warmer down below. It's like the blood is moving again." By the second week, he said he was waking up with strength he hadn't felt in years. But what struck me most was what he added. "I don't just feel more in my body, I feel more like a man." That is the power of this hidden point. It doesn't just restore circulation, it restores confidence, control, and the quiet dignity of knowing your body still responds to you. The science here is simple yet profound. The femoral artery is a direct pipeline of blood flow to the lower organs. The femoral nerve is one of the main highways for sensation. If those pathways become restricted, no pill on earth can fully compensate. But by gently pressing, massaging, and breathing into this area, you release tension, improve flexibility, and open the road back up. You invite blood to flow freely again, and you remind your nervous system that connection still exists. Many men I've worked with notice more than just stronger erections when they awaken this inner thigh line. They report sleeping more deeply, feeling calmer in the mornings, and even walking with more energy in their legs. It is as if the whole lower body wakes up, carrying with it the manhood that had been waiting quietly for its turn to rise again. Now you've discovered all 3 points, the pubic bone, the perineum, and the inner thigh line, that act as switches to restore your natural strength. But pressing these points alone is only part of the story, because if your body's foundation is weak, the results may fade. That is why I want to share with you a set of daily habits, small but powerful, that transform these techniques from a quick spark into a lasting fire. And once you hear them, you'll understand why men who practice them not only wake up harder but live with more energy, vitality, and peace than they ever imagined. 5. Why these points work. Science made simple. By now you may be wondering why these 3 points, above the pubic bone, the perineum, and along the inner thigh, make such a difference. What is really happening beneath the skin when you press, breathe, and bring awareness to them? The answer is not mystery or magic, but simple science combined with the wisdom of reconnecting to your own body. Erections are nothing more than the result of two systems working together: blood flow and nerve signals. When those systems are strong and open, you wake up hard every morning without even thinking about it. When they are blocked or neglected, morning strength fades, not because the ability is gone, but because the communication has been interrupted. Think of your body as a city filled with highways. The arteries are the roads that carry traffic, and the nerves are the power lines that light up the city. If a road is blocked, the cars can't get through. If the power lines go unsaid, the lights grow dim. But when you clear the roads and restore the current, the whole city wakes up again. That is exactly what these points do. The point above the pubic bone reawakens circulation deep in the pelvis, sending fresh blood down to the organs that depend on it. The perineum acts like a valve, releasing the flow that may have been trapped for years and reconnecting nerves that had fallen silent. And the inner thigh line opens the main highway, allowing the blood and signals to surge freely toward your manhood once again. I have seen men who thought they were finished, men who believed age had taken everything from them, discover that within weeks of stimulating these points, warmth, sensation, and strength returned. I think of Leonard, 69 years old, who once said, "Doc, I don't care about sex anymore. I just want to know my body still responds." After learning to activate these points, he called me one morning with a voice full of life. "It happened," he said. "I woke up hard, no pills, no tricks, just me." The joy in his voice told me everything. It wasn't just about the physical change. It was about dignity, confidence, and the deep relief of knowing he was still whole. Science supports what these men feel. When blood flows freely, nitric oxide is released, the vessels expand, and sensitivity increases. When nerves are reawakened, the brain begins to send stronger signals, and the response below is immediate. You don't need to fight your body. You simply need to remind it of the pathways it already knows. And once you do, your mornings transform from emptiness into proof of life. But here is the key. While the points are powerful, they are not the full answer. Think of them as the switches that flip the lights back on. Yet if the wiring of the house is corroded, the lights may flicker or fade. To make the change last, to keep the current flowing for years to come, you need to strengthen the foundation your body depends on. That is where a few simple daily habits make all the difference. Habits so small they may surprise you, yet so powerful they can turn these techniques into a permanent part of your life. And once you learn them, you may realize that the secret to lasting strength is not in what you do once, but in what you choose to do every day. 6. The supporting habits. 5 daily boosters. Now that you understand why these 3 points work, let me share something that makes all the difference. Pressing the points alone can spark powerful changes, but if you want those changes to last, if you want to keep waking up every morning with strength that feels natural, you need to support them with a few simple habits. These are not complicated routines or heavy exercises. They are small daily practices that build the foundation for your erections to thrive. And when I say small, I mean so simple that many men dismiss them at first. Yet those who commit find their results multiply tenfold. The first habit is breathing. Not the shallow, quick breathing that most of us do without thinking, but deep, slow belly breathing. I've seen men lower their blood pressure, relax their blood vessels, and increase their nitric oxide, all from 5 minutes a day of mindful breathing through the nose into the belly. One man told me, "Doc, I didn't believe something so simple could matter, but after a week, I noticed my body felt calmer, and in the mornings, my response was stronger." Breathing reconnects you to life itself, and your manhood feels that. The second habit is hydration, and not just any hydration, but starting your day with a glass of warm water. After a long night, your blood becomes thicker. Drinking warm water thins it gently and helps circulation flow freely, especially to the parts of your body that matter most. It's a small act, but one that primes your system for strength. The third habit is reducing sugar, particularly in the evening. I know the comfort of dessert after dinner, but sugar quietly damages the lining of your blood vessels. Every bite makes it harder for your arteries to heal, and weaker arteries mean weaker erections. I've had patients who simply cut out their nightly ice cream and noticed within weeks their morning erections were fuller because their vessels could finally recover. The fourth habit is movement. You don't need to run marathons or lift heavy weights. All it takes is a short, light walk after dinner. That walk activates your body's natural venous pump, the mechanism that helps push blood back up to your heart and keep it circulating evenly. It's gentle, it's safe, and it makes a profound difference in how blood reaches your lower body overnight. The fifth and final habit is about how you treat your body. If you rush through the points with frustration or impatience, your nervous system resists. But if you approach them with care, with respect, as though you are tending to something sacred, your body listens. This isn't New Age talk. It is the reality of how the nervous system responds to presence. Together, these 5 habits form the foundation that turns 3 simple points into a lifelong practice. They are the reinforcements that keep your results from fading, the daily acts that tell your body, I still value you, I still trust you. But if you are still wondering whether these practices truly work, you are not alone. Many men feel skeptical in the beginning. That is why the next part is so important, because I want to share with you the real stories of men just like you who put these methods into practice and discovered changes they never thought possible. 7. Real stories. Real hope. Whenever I speak about these methods, I know there are men listening who nod politely but remain unconvinced. They wonder if these techniques are too simple, if the results are too good to be true, or if they are somehow the exception, the man who will not respond. I understand that doubt because I've sat across from hundreds of men who felt the same way. But what I have witnessed over the years has taught me something powerful. When a man commits to these practices, no matter his age, his body finds a way to respond. And the transformations I have seen are not just physical, they are deeply personal, restoring dignity, confidence, and connection in ways that are difficult to put into words. Take Harold, a 74-year-old retired postal worker from Minnesota. He came to me one evening, exhausted from trying every pill and remedy he could find. "Doc," he said, "I don't need to feel 20 again. I just want to wake up one morning and feel like I still matter." His words carried the weight of loneliness and disappointment that so many men carry silently. I taught him the 3 points, encouraged him to be patient, and reminded him that his body was not broken. 3 weeks later, he called me, his voice trembling. "It happened," he said. "I woke up this morning with strength, natural strength, for the first time in over a decade." It wasn't just his erection that returned that day. It was his sense of being alive, of being whole. Then there was Leonard, 69 years old, who told me he no longer cared much for sex. "I only want to know my body can still respond," he confessed. He began the practice not expecting much, but soon he noticed warmth, sensitivity, and a quiet pulse he thought was gone forever. One morning he woke up, felt his body respond, and sent me a message. "Doc, I know now, I'm not finished. I still have life left in me." That moment changed everything for him, because it proved that age had not taken away his manhood. And I cannot forget Earl, the truck driver who had spent decades sitting behind the wheel, his body stiff and tired. When he learned to awaken the inner thigh line, he didn't just regain stronger erections. He found new energy in his legs and a calmness in his mornings that surprised even him. "I feel more in control," he told me. "I feel like a man again." What ties all these stories together is not just the return of morning erections. It is the return of hope, of dignity, of confidence. These men walked taller, slept deeper, and looked in the mirror with pride instead of defeat. Their lives changed because they realized their bodies still had more to give, that they were not finished, that they were still capable of feeling alive. But as inspiring as these stories are, there is one more lesson I must share, perhaps the most important of all. Because if you want these changes to last, not for a week or a month, but for the rest of your life, you must understand the one principle that makes all the difference. And once you hear it, you will realize that your best years are not behind you, but waiting quietly ahead. 8. The final lesson. After decades of working with men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s, there is one truth that stands above all the rest. Real change does not come from trying something once, from pressing a point for a few minutes and expecting a miracle. Real change comes from commitment, from showing up every single day with patience and purpose. That is how a practice becomes a ritual, how a spark becomes a flame, and how a man reclaims what he thought was lost forever. I have watched men discover the 3 points and feel a surge of hope, only to slip back into doubt when they stop practicing. And I have watched others, who made these techniques a daily act of self-respect, transform not only their mornings but their entire lives. The difference was not in their age, not in their health history, not in their luck. The difference was in their consistency. They chose to treat their bodies as worthy of care, to invest a few minutes each day in breathing, in pressing, in reconnecting. And over time, those few minutes rewrote the story of their manhood. What I want you to understand is that this is not about chasing youth. It is not about trying to turn back the clock or pretending you are 25 again. It is about stepping into this season of life with dignity, confidence, and strength. It is about telling your body, I still believe in you, I still trust you, I will not abandon you now. When you do that, when you turn these techniques into a daily ritual, your body responds in ways that will surprise you. You will wake up stronger, you will sleep deeper, and you will carry yourself with a quiet assurance that others will notice. I think of Walter, who once told me, "Doc, I feel like I've been given back a part of myself I thought was gone." I think of Harold, who realized his mornings still held promise. I think of Leonard, who found pride in knowing his body could still answer him. None of these men were trying to be young again. They were reclaiming their presence, their respect, and their connection to life itself. That is the final lesson I want to leave you with in this section. It is not about pressing points once or twice and waiting for a miracle. It is about choosing every day to reconnect, to breathe, to touch with patience, and to believe that your body still has power within it, because it does. And once you treat that power with consistency, it will reward you in ways that change far more than your erections. It will change how you see yourself as a man. Now, as we move into the final part of this journey, I want to bring everything together, because the points, the habits, the stories, and the science all lead to one powerful conclusion. And when you hear it, you will understand that your prime is not a memory of the past, but a reality waiting to be lived again. Conclusion. As we come to the end of this journey, I want you to pause and reflect on everything you've just learned. You began this video perhaps with doubt, maybe even with frustration, wondering if your body had already left its best days behind. But now you know the truth. Your body is not broken, your manhood is not gone, and your age does not define your ability to feel alive again. What you've discovered are 3 simple points, above the pubic bone, the perineum, and the inner thigh line, that act like hidden switches, waiting patiently for you to flip them back on. You've also learned that when you combine these switches with daily habits like breathing deeply, drinking warm water, reducing sugar, walking gently, and treating your body with respect, you create the foundation for lasting strength. I have shared with you the science, yes, but more importantly, I've shared the stories of real men, Harold, Leonard, Earl, men who once thought they were finished, only to find out that their bodies still carried life, dignity, and power. And as I've told their stories, I've thought of you, the man sitting here right now listening to my words, because I know that inside of you there is the same spark, the same quiet desire to wake up and feel that your body still belongs to you, that it still answers you, that it still carries the strength of a man who has lived, endured, and overcome. This is not about chasing youth. It's about reclaiming what was always yours, but may have been quiet for too long. Every time you press these points with patience and breathe deeply, you are not just stimulating blood flow or nerves, you are telling yourself that you are still here, that you still matter, that your life is not finished. Every time you walk after dinner, choose water over sugar, or slow your breath, you are reinforcing the message. I respect my body, I trust my body, and I will not give up on my body. The final lesson, the one I hope you carry with you, is that change is not about doing something once. It is about showing up, day after day, with care and intention. That is how men like Walter and Thomas and so many others transformed their mornings, their confidence, and their sense of self. And that is how you can too. The power you seek is already inside you, waiting for you to awaken it. So as you finish this message, I want you to take it personally. Tonight, when you lie down, or tomorrow morning when you rise, make the choice to begin. Find the points, breathe, and commit to showing up for yourself. Because once you do, you'll discover what countless men have already found, that your prime is not behind you. It is alive right now, ready to return the moment you decide to claim it. And when you do, you'll not only wake up harder, you'll wake up stronger, prouder, and more connected to the man you truly are.